Continuing our reading in the World and Thorinn by Damon Knight, today is Chapter 10, Section 5. Thornton could bear no more. He turned and slid down the roof, head foremost, leaned in, grasped the window frame, pulled himself inside. The only other exit was a hole in the floor through which he passed into another empty room, and so on, until he reached the top of the larger tower below. Here he leaned over the low railing of a balcony and peered down into the hall. It was dark and silent. He swung himself over and dropped from one balcony to another, pausing often to listen, until he had reached the floor 200 ells down. Skylight, entering through the broad courtyard doorway, was full of yellow dust motes. Thornton leaped to the wall at one side of the entrance and cautiously put his head out. In the courtyard, fat, grunting beasts and squawking fowl were being herded by flapping gray things, not birds, but men and women with wings like those of wing mice. They were shorter than he, with broad chests and bandy legs. Their long arms ended in three-fingered hands. Their wings, which were like gray cloaks when they were folded, became taut membranes when they flew. The sticks they used to goad the animals were clutched in their long toes. Thornton withdrew into the darkness and said in a low voice, "Box, are they men or demons?" "Some are beasts and some are fowl." "No, I mean the ones with the gray wings." "They are engines, Thornton." "Engines, too, like the bird? Wait a minute." The sounds outside had changed. There were squawking screeches, the flapping of wings. Bursting with curiosity, Thornton put his head out again and found himself staring straight into the face of a wingman who was pursuing half a dozen ducks escaped from the flock. The wingman's gray-furred face did not change. His dull eyes passed over Thornton expressionlessly, and in a moment he was pursuing his ducks in the other direction. After a moment, Thornton stepped out into the doorway, exposing himself fully. No one paid the slightest attention to him, even when he began moving across the courtyard toward the doorway from which the beasts and fowl were still issuing. The herdsmen's bodies were covered with short gray fur. Their skin was a darker gray, their eyes brown. Their nails, on both hands and feet, were curved and horny. They wore tunics, kittles, and caps of knitted wool, some plain, others with vivid designs in red, ochre, and blue. Between their thighs was a gray membrane anchored by a short tail, and all their garments were made with slits to accommodate the tail and the wings. As Thornton drew near the doorway, a last explosion of ducks and other fowl burst out of it, followed by two wingmen. Now he could see the floor of the central well inside, and he hopped in that direction, thinking the procession was over. But another wingman appeared, then four more, then another four, leaping up in the dimness out of what Thornton now perceived was a huge oblong hole in the floor, with a lid tilted above it. Some sprang toward the outer doorway and were gone. Others went flapping upward. The great well was murmurous with their wings, but otherwise they made no sound. That is the end of section 5.